Hello, my name is Alex Cribbs, and welcome to another episode of the Peace Podcast. Today I'm joined with Gwynne McCay, who is a co-founder of PAX and is the executive director. She is also a student leader for Students United for Nonviolence, also known as SUN. She is a chair for the International Service Community for Pearl Rotary and does a lot of other cool stuff in the community. So welcome.
How's it going, Alex?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Well, I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about conflict resolution, just because I know that it's hard for people to grasp, kind of. Every time you tell them that you're in the graduate program for conflict resolution, they go, "What's that?"
Yeah. A lot of, oh, you're a mediator.
Well, not exactly.
In addition to mediation skills, conflict resolution is an interdisciplinary program that draws from psychology, political science, development studies, social work, and really any field that can help contribute to us building relationships, whether that be interpersonally, intergroup, or internationally.
Yeah. I know all of the co-founders of PAX that are in the program came from really different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
I studied international studies. Nicole Matson did development with a focus in Africa. Josh Christopherson focused on religion. And
I went to UC Berkeley for political and economic geography with an emphasis in West African oil drilling.
There's a lot of different things that everyone is focusing on in the program. For instance, there are people that are doing mediation as their main focus. There are people working on doing trainings for conflict resolution skills and tools, and people working to promote reconciliation, peace building, and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, we have my mentor from the conflict resolution program does contract negotiation for labor firms or labor groups. A colleague of ours started the Peace Science Digest, where he takes quantitative peace research and breaks it down into an accessible format. We have other people that are mediators and trainers, and we have other people that start organizations, like These Numbers Have Faces. It was started by a conflict resolution person.
That one's very cool. Well, and we also started an organization.
Yes, we did.
Called Peace Action Exhibition. And we really saw that there were a lot of opportunities to build peace both in our local community and thus the global community through creating just more programs that promote peace and justice, essentially. We started off by wanting to have basically a series of panels for public education about various different topics, and it transformed into kind of a much larger organization.
Yes, it did.
So we now have a bunch of different programs that we are involved in and that we sponsor or develop ourselves. Do you want to run through the list?
Yeah. We offer peace education through our Peace podcast, through our Peace library, through our trainings, and our panels and events. We also offer networking opportunities through our Peace Network. We offer mediation services, and we offer project support for new up-and-coming peace scholars and peace activists who need a little bit of extra help, whether it be through logistics, through media, through guidance, or grant writing.
And I think that's one of the really cool opportunities that we can, give to other people in the program that are looking for, an avenue to go through to do the programs that they really think will be useful in the community.
That's how I started Dinner Dialogues. I had an idea, ran it through PAX, and they ended up supporting it.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I really want to talk about is dialogue. It's a term that, just isn't everyday vocabulary, but in conflict resolution, dialogue is a very specific practice.
Yeah, we use dialogue to mean a conversation in our colloquial usage, and what it means in conflict resolution, My favorite definition was listening deeply enough to be able to be changed by what you hear. And with dinner dialogues, that is my hope, that people from different backgrounds are able to build enough of a relationship to actually hear what each other have to say and build those relationships, even if it's to a very small degree.
And, oftentimes when we're doing dialogue, it's with communities that are deeply entrenched in narratives that really make it hard to communicate and have understanding and so forth. So how can dialogue really get to the core of that?
So the farther along that road you are, the harder it is to come back or perspective take and see someone else's side. If you've been taught your entire life and all your experiences have contributed to you thinking that gay people are going to hell, it's very, very difficult to engage with someone who's gay and see them as a person rather than that stereotype or that understanding that you carry. And so dinner dialogues, instead of introducing people by their titles of, hi, my name is Gwynne McCay and I'm a lesbian, we get to meet each other as people and uncover more details of who we are after we exchange stories, life experiences, and eat with each other. And really see someone for who they are outside of that label, which contributes to changing that narrative that you have of someone as just that stereotype. The more you know about someone, or was it a PBS slogan? The more you know? Yeah, this is the more you know. Over dinner.
And how did you get started with this idea of the Dinner Dialogue series?
I had an experience in Oakland that very much mirrored this experience. We went around and in our community, as a white person who was attending a very prestigious university, living in a very low income and very rundown neighborhood in West Oakland, there was a lot of tension between my neighbors and I, particularly when I moved in. And this was a way that we could get to know each other beyond just what we saw and what our prejudices were, what our stereotypes were. And we had dinner 2-3 times a week for actually quite a few years. I babysat their kids. They, invited me to birthday parties, events. We became neighbors in the sense that we both understood, and the relationship had not started out that way. And our experience grew through going to dinner with each other, learning about who we were and how we became the way we are, and being open enough to change who we are and what our understandings were.
It's very cool. And so, what is the process of a general, dialogue session?
Well, the one we learn in conflict resolution, our example is a circle process. We all come sit in a circle. We build a container or a safe space for us all to feel engaged and able to be vulnerable so that we can have those deep conversations. The avenue that I use in dinner dialogues is around food, so that even if you have those prejudices, you can focus on the food while the other information absorbs. So it's a little bit different, and we share a lot of the same elements. So we try and build the container at the beginning of every session by doing team building event or activities.
Mm-hmm.
So when we learned in conflict resolution, we did silly games that were a lot of fun.
Yes, they were.
Tookie. And that helped us, even through not direct engagement with our peers that were in that class, we were able to have some understanding of who else was in there because we'd done something with them. And contact theory is one of the ones that we prioritize in conflict resolution that states positive and even neutral experience with people can build relationships. And it can be direct or passive. And depending on the conditions, that can lead to positive relationships.
So what are some of the kind of people that are going to participate in the Dinner Dialogue series?
So rather than having 2 opposing groups, we have people representing 8 different sections of identity that do traditionally come in conflict. So myself representing a part of the Q community, that identity is often in conflict with conservative religious people, whether it be Muslims, whether it be Christians, whether it be, anyone who is taught that that's not an okay way to be.
Or just might not have any experience with.
Very often I find that's the situation, that someone's never met someone who's gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that stereotype is very easy to have if you've never met anyone.
Sure.
Or if you've only met two people. So we have people representing those identities. We also have someone representing the trans community. We have someone representing the refugee community. We have someone representing a migrant labor community. We have someone representing the disability community. And different intersections that really want to raise awareness of who they are rather than what their stereotype is.
Very cool. I know that through your research, one of the really interesting ideas that you are focusing on is the idea of respect in dialogue. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I read this article and he was talking about how our political discourse over the last few years has not been dialogic. It has been competitive, and that no one's actually listening to hear people, they're listening to refute people. And his idea is that if people don't have respect for one another, they are not able to have a conversation with one another. So my perspective with dinner dialogue is that having that conversation is how you build respect. And it doesn't have to be there to begin with.
Yeah, I think oftentimes, people are going to come into that kind of situation really without respect, and they have the opportunity of gaining that respect throughout the process.
Yeah, especially if they're able to recognize that their identity is just as misunderstood, it's oftentimes a challenge for people to see that in others, that their identities are misunderstood. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping that through that dialogue, through sharing vulnerabilities and stories of sadness, stories of hope, stories of triumph, we're able to open those doors.
Begin the process of rehumanization and perspective taking, seeing
Absolutely.
the other person's side. And more than that, gaining empathy for the struggles that everyone goes through with their respective identities or just life experiences.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a really cool program. And if anyone would like to get involved with the Dinner Dialogue series, you can find more information about it on our website, peaceactionexhibition.org. And if you would like to get involved with any of our other programs, you can do that there as well. Or if you want to schedule trainings or mediation, or just learn about how you can get involved both with us or the community, it's a really good resource.
Yeah, our mediations are sliding scale and available to anyone who can use those services. Our trainings include programs like Conflict Resolution 101, Advanced Conflict Resolution, Coalition Building, Logistics and Media Work, and also What We Say and How We Say It, looking at exposing more members of our community to different minority groups and bridging that comfort zone so people aren't afraid to go and talk about those issues.
Exactly. And there's going to be a great LGBTQ training that's going to really kind of try to help people understand how to talk to people in the Q community. Yeah.
It's in my experience, what I found out is that people aren't trying to be hurtful. They're not even trying. They're afraid to branch out because they're afraid they'll say the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. My mom works at a tutoring center in accounting, and she called me up one day and she's like, Gwen, someone came in the accounting center and I don't know their gender. I don't know how to talk to them. What do I do? And as someone who is in the Q community and has plenty of exposure to people of gender fluid identities, trans people, my advice to her was, well, ask, what's your pronoun? Mm-hmm. And her concern was, is that not rude? Shouldn't I know? And for her, it was just a matter of fear and lack of experience doing that. She called me up a week later when the person came back and she was like, oh my gosh, it was so great. They just answered it. It was no big deal. And so with this training, I'm hoping that we can target people who don't have a lot of exposure to the Q community and teach them, especially if they're frontline staff, management, or even just people who want to be allies but don't know how.
That's great. So beyond the various programs that we do, we have a couple events coming up. On May 27th, we have a networking event.
We
That's gonna be very
do.
cool.
Come and join us at Portland State University between the hours of 2 and 4 on a Saturday, May 27th. We're going to have some organizations that work to build peace in the community present, and an opportunity for you as an organization to come and meet volunteers, or you as a person to see groups that you might want to get involved with.
It's going to be a very good opportunity for coalition building and getting organizations together that really have similar goals in the community.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the presentation about the peace contract and coalition building.
Very cool. And we also have an event on June 4th.
A Sunday afternoon between 4 and 7 at the Lagunitas Community Room. And we are titling our event My Big Fat Coming Out, and it's emphasizing Q narratives from kings, queens, and everyone in between. And we're looking at some hilarious stories of what the experience is like coming out to society as trans, as gay, as really anything that isn't mainstream.
It's going to be a great event. There's going to be 8 different kinds of Lagunitas beer.
There is.
There's going to be a raffle with a bunch of really cool prizes, photo booth,
And
some artwork.
some artwork by D. David Robinson, and he collects narratives from queer refugees who face different challenges than a lot of refugees do. If you happen to leave Uganda or a different country or community for being persecuted for being gay, it's very difficult to seek asylum somewhere, become a refugee, and get housed and receive the same services with other people who could be fleeing for political reasons but still harbor those ideas.
Very powerful artwork.
Yeah.
So for more information on these events, you can find it on our Facebook page, our website, on Twitter, on Instagram, on wherever, under Peace Action Exhibition. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming and talking.
Of course, anytime.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Have a good one.